the role of a judge in court, I suppose you could analyze it this way, that most basically, the role of the judge is to see that the legal process is operated properly, that it is operated according to the law, insofar as the law prescribes how courts are to behave, and also that that the court process, the legal process, is conducted in what people would regard as a proper and civilized fashion. There is a problem now, because what people used to regard as simply not done in court, people did not behave this way, that is no longer so, and some advocates, I don't use advocates in the broad sense, some advocates consider themselves entitled to keep talking even when they're told, please be quiet. And likewise, it's extremely difficult to control some witnesses. So the judges are, to that extent, treading in rather muddy waters, because the extent to which the judge can control the process is much less so than it used to be. On the other hand, one can say that there is an advantage, because some judges used to bully the advocates and the witnesses, and that is much less so now. So it's like most other things, it's relative. But that's the first job of the judge, is to keep the legal process proceeding properly. Within that, you could say that it is important that the judge ensures that the law is applied, that if you're a judge with a jury, that the jury hears only that which it is proper, according to the rules of law, that the jury should hear. So, for example, what is said by an accused person to his or her lawyer in confidence should not be disclosed. And it's part of the job of the judge to ensure that the jury does not hear what the law prescribes that the jury should not hear. So to that extent also the judge is keeping legal control of the court. If the judge is sitting with a jury, then the judge has to tell the jury what the law is, and more specifically, to tell the jury what how they go about deciding their verdict. If the judge is sitting alone, to some extent that is the same, and there's an interesting way in which which appeal courts talk about what judges have done, and that's to say that the judge has misdirected himself or herself, which is as if the judge was acting as a judge and jury at the same time, and when acting as a jury has to be properly directed by the other part of the judge's mind as to what the law is. So the judge, in reaching the decision, the judgment, has to do so in a way that is in conformity with the law, to apply the law correctly, to go about the finding of facts correctly, and then eventually to produce a judgment. But then the important thing is that a judge sitting alone will still have, in most cases, the judgment will be subject to appeal, and then the appeal court judges will say that the judge has gone about it in the wrong way. In many continental courts, the appeal court can reopen the whole issue and hear all the witnesses again and decide quite differently on the law, as on the facts as well as the law. So the way our legal system works isn't necessarily the way that other people see that a legal system ought to work.